This is BayRadio.
We've teased this up enough. It's time to bring in Mr. Richard Wijeratne. He's back from Xabia International College. Good morning. Welcome back in.
Good morning, Moody. Good to see you.
It's always a pleasure. And as I say, it just lends a bit of class to the show, which needs it sometimes, this show. Needs punching up a bit. And
I don't know if that's a compliment or...
Oh, it's a compliment.
Oh, it is. Oh, thanks very much.
And my mother will be the first to tell you, he sounds very good on radio, doesn't he? And I don't care for anyone in here that sounds better than me on the radio, but I'll allow it.
Her. We love your mum.
I'll allow it in this instance. But it's obviously a busy time for you. And when's half term? That's next week, is it?
Next week, yeah, next week. And we've got just over 50 students going skiing in Andorra next week.
Yes, of course, that's
so busy
coming
times.
up. Yeah. Do you know what the conditions are like? I think there's
not
some
bad.
snow around.
From what I hear, not bad. And I suppose the most important thing is this whole idea of trying to get back to some sort of normality. You know, we've basically had to stop most of the trips that we had planned. You know, so having the team go back up to the mountains will be lovely for them.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to touch on this. I sort of cleared it with you first, see what you wanted to talk about. But obviously, it's out there. The COVID restrictions, whether they've been eased or, I don't know, they came back for a bit and now they've gone away again. What's the latest? How is it working at the school?
They are easing, and it's wonderful to be able to say to children that they don't have to wear their masks outside. They still have to be sensible and socially distanced, and we have staff all over the place trying to help them with that. But, wearing a mask, as you know, and as it is quite strict in Spain, which is great, now that we've been able to release them a little bit more, it's great. Actually to see a child's face and the expressions on their face is really important. It's really important in school. It's really important in daily life. So, that restriction has eased. We did used to take temperatures on the gates as well, which wasn't a requirement, but it was something that the college did just as an extra. And very pleasingly, we don't do that anymore either. So the idea is to try and encourage this return to some sort of normality. And we have huge support from our parents. And I'd like to say thank you to them now, because not only have they supported all of the protocols and restrictions, they've also sort of shared with us their impressions and their ideas about how we might be able to help our community that is the college. So we're moving into another stage, and it's great. Even not having to play sport with a mask on.
Yes, that's not ideal.
Is not ideal at all. Absolutely horrible. So.
But the thing is, I've seen this elsewhere, not just maybe in school, but the children generally don't complain, do they, about the masks?
Not at all.
It's an adult thing to argue about them.
The children are phenomenal, and I want to say not just in XIC. You think, here in Spain and globally, just having to have that. If we just take a moment and go back a couple of years and see how we all took everything so much for granted, and now our youngsters. I have 3 boys. The first thing they do is they know where to go to pick up a mask.
Yeah,
in the house, we've got a mask box. It's just we've come to learn to live with it. But young people are incredibly resilient, and I say that about all children in all schools. I'm so impressed with the way that they have reacted to it, and it's a real responsibility that they take very seriously, I think.
And although you're kind of an independent school, as it were, you do you work with the Valencia region restrictions and conditions.
Yeah.
So what was the numbers? How did it work with, say, one child tests positive within the class? Now the whole class isn't off, and is it 5 or more?
No, it's 5. It's 5 now, and when you have 1 or 2, you just get a little bit concerned. But it's again, that's how the restrictions have been released slightly, and it's great, But I think it's very much how we're living with it in society. We're living with it in school as well, and once again, we rely upon the responsible attitude of our community, our parents, who are great. If they contact us immediately, their children have got any sort of symptoms, and keep them off school. Then they test them, just in case. And should they be negative, we're delighted to have them in.
Because I get a bit more of an insight these days, because we are doing some work with you, myself and Rosie.
Absolutely.
Coming in there every week. And it's quite an eye-opener sometimes, because I said I'd mention this. We're doing some stuff at the primary, right up, you've got the 3 sites, of course.
We do.
And it's easy for maybe non-parents like me or older folk to think that all children are sulky on their phones all the time. But it's not true.
No.
It really isn't. And you just think, well, these are going to have nothing to say. But it was just extraordinary. We did a bit at the primary, it's just last week or the week before. And the personalities on some of them, it's I mean, you would know it. You'd see it, obviously, immediately.
That's
the
what
ones that stand out.
Moody, you'll have to tell me your experience, but it is if you were to say to any of our colleagues, what is it that inspires you? It is them. It's those children. And I tell you, that's one of the most beautiful things about not having the masks on, especially when they're the little ones, because out of the mouths of babes come the most incredible words and the incredible phrases that they may hear or they may make up. But it really is beautiful when you get the chance to walk around, visit the classes, see what the children are doing. That's great. But when you see them in their downtime in the playgrounds, they come up to you and speak to you about all sorts of topics. It's very, very interesting, and it's great fun.
Yeah, we did a little thing talking about green issues and maybe plastics in the ocean. And they all had a view on it, and they'd seen stories, and they're able to relay them to us. And even just something like, I think we got a bit of a mix-up with timings and stuff. There's one little girl said, don't worry, everyone makes mistakes. 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, you see,
you're forgiven.
They're just reflecting on their teachers there, you see.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. No, you must rub off on them, I guess. Because everyone remembers a decent teacher from their school, of course, back in the day.
It's absolutely key. And I mean, we'll remember, but one of the things, and I know when I come and talk to you, I do like to say that we work with some remarkable people. I mean, I can only talk about our team, but it is more than a privilege. It's an absolute pleasure. When I'm preparing to go to work, I'm often there as a smile breaks out, because I know I'm going to go and see these people that I work with who are doing an amazing job in a hard time. It's not easy being a teacher anyway.
No.
Whatever anybody says about anything, it's not easy being a teacher. But these people are gifted, experienced, dedicated. They love what they do, and they love the children they're with. And I think the reactions to what they do is very, very evident and easy to see. What I would love to do is to have the parents see this in action, because often it's something that the parents miss. It really is something that they miss. But I know you guys have offered to do some live streaming for us, so that we can actually show one or two things that the children are doing in school to our parent body, which is fantastic. And that's something that I know that we'll get together. And maybe we can give the parents a little bit more of a flavour of what's going on in the college. And
what we are doing a lot of video stuff, and it takes place within the classroom, particularly at the primary. They're all together rather than this little select group. And you'll just see they've all got something to offer.
Yeah.
And I was taken aback. I was quite surprised, I must admit, because I'm not used to it, and I didn't fancy the idea of working with children. But you must have so many stories. You can go back. You get quotes taken away from there. Plenty to relay.
So
on Friday night.
So many.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, I think, when young people really recognise when they go through that transition of going through possibly into upper primary. A little bit older, and they recognise that the people that they're working with, the teachers that work with them, are actually trying to improve them. That's the key. When you actually know that a teacher's trying to make you better today than you were yesterday, it's that little trick, and it's wonderful, and you see it all the time. So the children are the absolute core of the college, obviously, but the spine are the staff. The staff, if they're having a good day, which I certainly hope that they do, then that rubs off on the children, and the feedback is wonderful.
I was talking about, the primary school. Obviously, famously, they get to maybe 12, 13, and things change a little bit, maybe attitude-wise. I guess that's the people, the teachers that deal with that age group. They're kind of used to that, and they know what to look out for.
I think it's a sad thing to say that I've been in teaching a long, long time. I was working it out with one of my sons the other day. It's 36 years.
Wow.
Young people grow up much faster nowadays than they did. And that's just a fact of life. What young people were challenged with when they were 16, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they seem to be challenged with when they're 12 and 13 now. And when we think about the maturity of a youngster and how they've got to take on those challenges, we recognise that. It's not easy being young, and it's in the DNA of young people to make mistakes. But the key to it is that they learn from them, and if they learn from them, it's a good mistake to make. Because if it's a good mistake, it's actually contributing to your future, and the fact that you actually understand it's not something you want to make again.
No.
You know?
You're talking about children maturing, faster. I saw a thing the other day. It works at the other end as well. Apparently 60 is the new 40.
Is
We'll
that
be
right?
delighted to hear, yes.
I'm over the moon about that.
Yeah, me too. Fast approaching. Let's get back on to XIC, shall
Yes,
we?
yes.
I have a loyalty card somewhere, which you were very kind to.
I hope
just
so.
as a sort of
Yeah.
demo, and I guess it does work. So what's the idea? The XIC
Well,
loyalty
actually,
card?
it's right in the process of being relaunched because the idea behind it actually it was a pre-COVID idea. We recognise the fact that Xabia is a small place, but it does really well during the summer months, where all of a great number of the businesses not so much feed off, but do really, really well with the tourists here. When the tourists go, it gets quite quiet. So we wondered how we might be able to marry the college with our community here in Xabia. So the idea was to set up a loyalty card, invite various businesses to offer a discount for our community in the college to go and use those businesses, from veterinary surgeries to hairdressers, from hairdressers to insurance companies, and so on, and restaurants, etc. And it took off. It absolutely took off, and it rocketed. And people were offering families in our community 10, 15, 20, 30% discount for them to use their businesses. And we just thought it was such a nice way to say to our community, look, here's your card. You've joined our family. How many do you need? Do you want some for the children, or do you want just and it took off. But what's happened is, with COVID, it's waned slightly. So we have a wonderful lady who works with us on this, and Amy is contacting all of those businesses again and suggesting to those people in our community, if they want to be part of it. The card costs absolutely nothing. The thing that we love about it is its loyalty, and loyalty to us is a very, very big deal. It's a very big deal. We want to keep our school small in number, be loyal to our children by making sure that we don't have large classes. We have an absolute maximum of 20, loyalty to their education. We also have a loyalty to our teachers by not putting them under so much pressure of having to have 24, 25, 30 children in their class. They're bound not to be able to function as they would otherwise do if they had fewer than 20 children in the class. So there is a great loyalty to this. But I want to say, on air today, colleges like our own, people choose us for reasons such as that. So a huge thank you to our parent community. I know they're linked in with us, and I know they're extremely loyal to us. So if we can do something with them to help them financially, it's a little thing, but it means that actually they're getting a discount. Hopefully the businesses in Xabia benefit from it. They clearly seem to be very keen. So yeah, it's an easy thing, for us to do, but something that Amy's working extremely hard to relaunch. So through our app, we'll be able to be in touch with our community. And should people want to get in touch with us, they can do so.
Yeah, you have an app now. Was the one before, or is this it's a brand new one? Well, relatively new, isn't it?
This is a new specific to XIC.
Yes.
We did have an ISR app, but now this is specific to the college. So we could ping our parents, we can advise them of recent or upcoming information. And it's just the future.
Yeah, I should imagine
Actually,
the uptake's been pretty. Yeah, well, exactly. The uptake's been pretty good on that. But to anyone that hasn't got it, it's worth getting. Obviously, free to download from your regular app store.
Communication is key.
Yeah. And I would say that because our stuff's on there as well. You go to the podcast, you'll see what exactly like you said. Sometimes the parents want a bit of an insight into what the children are doing, and there's quite a few on there they can watch as well. It's not just the audio; they've got videos on there. All right. How important is that? The sort of bits within the community, even if it's not directly recruiting new students. Having the presence there is obviously key to yourselves.
Well, we like people to know about us, obviously. But if we all know the greatest tool in any marketing strategy is word of mouth, and the greatest apostles we have are the people who are within the college. So our students or our staff or our parents will walk around the community and they will talk about XIC. We are not so heavily into a rigorous and brutal marketing campaign. I'd rather people see what we do, hear about what we do, and actually touch and feel what we do. And then they get a feel and a flavour for the college. And that's key. Because when you invest in in putting your child into XIC, you need to know what the full and long-term package is, what they will leave XIC with, what ticket they have to their future, what rounded individual they will become, how they will be resilient to challenges, how they will actually be able to push themselves, how they find that exciting. And that's what's really, really interesting. The challenge is, you said something earlier about a younger person who hasn't quite grasped it and can be a little bit surly and doesn't really get the idea that they should be pushing themselves in school. That is the challenge of a teacher. And when you see that light bulb moment, when somebody has turned the corner and they recognize the talents that they have and the enjoyment that they get when somebody says, brilliant, well done, We have a wonderful little thing that the staff are into just now. Is we've provided them with some postcards. Now, that sounds a little bit strange because nobody sends postcards these days. Nobody sends letters these days. I can't remember the last time I got something through the post that wasn't a bill. So there's little postcards with pictures from our children that the staff can write to the children, or write to parents, or write to colleagues and say, listen, thanks for what you did today. You were absolutely brilliant. And when you pick up something like that, it's better than opening a birthday card. It just is. On your birthday, if you sort of expect cards.
Exactly, yeah.
But when you get something unexpected through the school bag or that way, it's a little thing, but it gets that closeness between a member of staff and a parent and a child and somebody in the community. So yeah, it's all good fun.
That's a skill, isn't it? That's like a management thing when dealing out praise. You don't overdo it. You don't say it all the time. You use it sparingly, but use it at exactly the right time, and it really hits home, and they remember it probably for the rest of their lives sometimes.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely. And there is a program in the primary school which I love. I really do. And Mr. J and his team there, Anya and the rest of them, they have a process called a Crackerjack, where if you're awarded a Crackerjack, you're absolutely the top, and you get a little certificate, and you get your name goes on a board, and it's a real achievement, and it's something that you will remember. And I hope they keep that. And when they're in their, when they're our age, my age, early 30s, they'll find it. They'll find it in a box somewhere, and they'll think, "Oh gosh, I remember I got that for that." So it's a really nice thing to be able to reward, not just good work. It's good practice. How staff get them in the primary school. Did you get one? I think.
Well, someone in our midst got a Crackerjack badge.
Right,
It's Rosie there, yeah.
Rosie, yeah.
Just for turning up. But that's not the case with students.
That's
is it?
not right, surely.
Well, I didn't get one, but that's all right.
Well,
No,
you've got to strive for these.
I hadn't earned it by that stage. No.
It's small things have a great impact in young people's minds. It's as simple as that. But praise is important. But young people recognise when somebody's just being sycophantic.
Yeah.
They know. So it's better to praise where praise is due, and encouragement where it's due, and children get things wrong, so they've got to understand that staff and the community that is in the college will make absolutely certain that they learn from the mistakes that we were talking about earlier.
That's going to be 2 years, obviously next month, since everything's shut down almost overnight. But you were kind of almost prepared for it in place, and particularly with the class sizes, as you touched on earlier, you're already doing that, and that became one of the restrictions.
Well, yeah, I mean that was amazing, because it meant that as we didn't have huge numbers, we then had the facility within which to create those socially distanced classrooms, or rather tables and desks in those classrooms. But I think we talked over a year ago, and maybe even longer, of how we've reacted to the restrictions that we had, and the fact that we had to be away from our students. Our students were learning remotely. That has changed us stratospherically. We are able now to provide classes remotely. If ever anything happens where our child can't come to school, they can access what's happening in the classroom through Google Classroom. I once had to cover a lesson for a Spanish teacher who had to stay at home because his daughter had COVID. But he was delivering his lesson from his sitting room through the power of the Promethean television that was in the class. It was fantastic. And because all of the children have their own tablets provided by the college, they can interact with the teacher as if he were in the class. It was brilliant, Moody. It really was. But that's how it should be. We live in a fantastically advanced world, and that technology is something that we need to use. These televisions are, again, rocket. They're unbelievable. The staff have to teach the staff once they've got to the next level, and then they teach each other again when they get to the next level, so that we use the tool. I mean, it's a bit like using your mobile phone to its capacity. I use my mobile phone as a phone.
Yeah, and also, as memory serves, teachers used to have trouble even with the most basic of televisions once they'd wheeled it in for you to watch something with the video player there as well.
Yes.
But and myself, I've only just got a new telly that's not got a big fat back on it, so it's no good asking me about Promethean TV.
No, it's superb.
But one of the 8-year-olds will be able to show you how to do it immediately,
without question.
Yeah,
without question. And what our plans are for the future is that we're really keen to upsize that technology throughout the college, because it is something that the board, the shareholders of XIC, are very keen to try and provide, to make sure that we provide the tools that the students need in order to enjoy their day. And I could say to learn, but by enjoying their day, they will be learning quite simply. It goes hand in hand. So yeah, we're lucky because the team that we have, as in the shareholders, through to the leaders in the management of our staff, it's just so proactive, really positive, extremely positive. The idea of making sure that we work together as a team and have those simple values that we want to try and make sure that the young person has the best day that they possibly can is key.
Yeah. When I mentioned about going into lockdown, I wanted to go back and look back, but it brings us around to talking about how things may be opening up again. And it was unfortunate timing, probably for everybody, but yourself, you were just starting to get, with the new school and underway, and maybe some after-school classes. That all finished, obviously, but how are we looking for future projects?
Right, yeah, well, it was really tricky, and we have an amazing chap in Darren Hambrook, and he really is a giant, and students, staff, parents, he is respected by all, but we were very lucky that he joined our team, as he is hugely experienced in extracurricular activities back in the UK. He was working with 5 or 6 schools in and around the Brighton area, from football to dance, from dance to karate, and all sorts of different activities. So his remit is to create a really full extracurricular activity program, which we had, and he interviews potential coaches, etc., on a regular daily basis, and the whole package is ready to go. Wow. Young people are attending activities, summer schools, Easter clubs, things planned for Christmas, weekend activities. It's great. And what Darren has is he has that enormous skill of, again, going to the community, finding the nuggets that are within the community and bringing them into our community to offer those youngsters the possibility of doing and participating in activities. What I love as well is we don't want the college to remain empty when the students aren't there. No. It's a wonderful facility. It's in a great position. The location is great. There's so the idea is to open the college to different activities for the adult community as well, and that can be from Pilates to karate to dance, but also something that I think is very valuable is teaching IT skills to a slightly older generation who nowadays have to navigate the whole idea of something even as strange or simple as a passenger locator form.
Yeah.
Do you know, I mean, you're asking somebody who doesn't really use a computer to try and understand how to deal with that in order for them to be able to go and see their children in another country.
Yeah.
So the key here is getting the right people to do those things. And, I'd like to say Darren is fabulous. And when he's not interviewing people and he's not trying to put his activities together, he's helping us in school because, whether we like it or not, we do have the odd member of staff from time to time who has to take a week or 10 days off because they've been exposed to or have actually contracted COVID. So he's one of our supply teachers as well. Uh-huh. Hugely into his PE, fantastic in that area, and actually he's helping in our primary school, some of the staff there as well.
Yeah, I see. We shared the job post that's come up for maternity cover coming up at the primary school.
Yes.
So the details on your Facebook page and
Absolutely.
on ours as well, BayRadio in Spain. That'll get you towards it. So summer course is likely to be something.
Yes,
going
I mean
ahead.
last year we restricted it only
Yeah.
to XIC students to try and protect the community, and this year we're going to be a little bit braver, and we will open our summer school to all comers. It's never going to be an enormous number of students. The way that Darren runs it is that there are lots of mini groups of people, so that you're not going to have 40 or 50 together at one time. You're going to have small pods of 15 to 20, 10, 15 to 20. So there's plenty of space to be able to do the activities that he has available.
Yeah, and
All
I
good
mean,
fun.
in the outdoor area, you've got quite a big area there, so that's
We
useful
do,
with the
but
basketball,
we'll
football
also
courts.
We'll also use the primary schools, because they have they're just beautiful. I mean, one of the things that I think I love most of all is when you drive to our primary schools. You drive past them. If you had the chance to go in, they're TARDISes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you now know, because you've probably driven past those schools many times, but now you're part of it and you've actually been in there. You get the idea of the space that is there.
Yeah.
So having been able to split our school into three, it's just given one of the things that the board were very, very keen when I joined 3 or 4 years ago, was to create time and space for our community. Time for the teachers, so they're not overstressed with the number of lessons that they do, and the time to just think and interact with each other, to work out what's the best way forward for our students, but also space for those students to be able to just explore, get a bit bigger and stronger in what they do on every day. So our collective thanks do go to the shareholders, because they have put a lot of time and effort and thought into what we do. They care about us. They don't just use us they don't just put a bit of money on the table and say, go and do this. They are actually very, very interested in what we're doing day to day.
So it's XIC.college, the website. So you can search for the Facebook page as well. Make sure you're a part of that. And get the app as well, because you can get something pinged out to you. You'll be first to know. And you can watch our podcasts as well. A sneaky little mention for bits and bobs in there. But it goes on, and we're
It does, and
very happy with what we've been doing.
And do get in touch with us, because we'll be in touch. We'll point you in the direction of Amy, should you want to be part of our loyalty program. The more the merrier. It really is. If it helps our community and it helps our school community, that's the key to this.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks ever so much for coming in.
Oh, it's
Just
brilliant.
about out of time, as they say, but I shall see you fairly soon anyway. But
You will, definitely.
do pop back in on here. But if there's anything to update us with,
I will, and work hard, persevere, and then I'm absolutely convinced that you will get that Crackerjack.
really,
badge.
that's what when I dried earlier. It's because I was going to make some reference to the TV show, which was lost on any of the students there. But Mr. Jarman knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
You don't have to shout Crackerjack back at him when he gives you the badge.
But Crackerjack actually is a word, and I didn't know this, but a Crackerjack as a word means somebody who has done something outstanding. And it's actually a German teacher from the college who introduced me to the word, because he learns 3 English words every day, and one of them happened to be Crackerjack.
See?
So that's where it's born.
They're way ahead over there.
Way
They're
ahead.
Every day's a
All right.
school day.
Every day is a school day. Quite.